If physically we withdraw the senses from certain things and our mind still dwell in that thing, that means we are not ready yet. We are like lighting fire, we pouring water at the same time. We have to withdraw the mind from there and engage the mind in something higher. Then there is some security there. And if we are doing that in due course of time, we can advance from there. We can overcome and really go ahead. So that is it. These things are actually always happening. Repression is always there. Pretension is always there. And in the process, it may look mechanical, but by continuously engaging in positive activities, these lower propensities will be replaced. So the focus will be on positive engagement in devotional service, engaging the senses in the service of the master of the senses. Then automatically control will take place. So that is where the solution is. Understand? The words are actually brothers. They are very close brothers. So the difference is very, 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 very minute difference. But when you now engage the mind in positive activities, engage the senses in positive devotional activities, in due course of time, you can overcome. Like generally all of us in spiritual life, sometimes the senses drag us. Now we hold back. That means we are repressing somehow or the other. But when we engage in the process, it becomes something else. Purification takes place and we overcome. So the definitions given so far, they are all very nice and beautiful, and they are all complementary. There is no contradiction. But Salika's definitions made it very, very clear also, and it clarified the things very, very nicely. But this is what I deduce from the whole thing. Since we want to overcome the senses and engage them positively, we should not withdraw the senses and stay inactive, as the yogis will do. Just control the senses. I'm sitting down controlling the senses. The senses should be engaged in positive activities. And this is the package as the Prabhupada has given to us. There are engagements, different kinds of engagements. And it will absorb that energy and purify us and take us beyond. And that is it. Engaging, and if you are pretending to be a sadhu, for instance, you are not a sadhu inside your mind is full of all kinds of desires, but you have worn the dress of a devotee. You are wearing it. It's like Krishna says, instead of pretending to be a sadhu, why not become one? Meaning, engage your mind in the activities of the sadhus. What makes a sadhu is the engagement he is doing, both mentally, intellectually, physically. Those engagements, why not engage in them? Then you become one. But if you just wear the dress alone, that cannot make you a sadhu, since your mind is still dwelling in the filthy things. So the whole process is engaging the mind and the senses in the service of the master of the senses. So this is what I will say. We should not dwell too much on the differences of the words, but the point is the words are brothers and sisters, very, very close to each other. If we want to control and make a positive move, we should engage all the senses, including the mind, in devotional service. And to the degree we sincerely try to do that, to that degree, there will be divine intervention in our, then we'll be able to overcome. So this is what I can say on it. Hare Krishna. But you still have a question on?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
From everything that has been said and what I have heard before, I want to speak what is in my mind. Then you can see it is still open to be filtered.
Okay.
Like Krishna was saying in that verse 33, what will repression accomplish? So something will not produce any result. That means it's better to give it up. It's not good. Repression in Africa here in Nigeria, they say now shit like key policeman. Toilet is worrying you. You want to form yogi, you don't want to go toilet. Even medically, it can cause so many problems. Then pretending, I'm looking at it from the way examples that even Prabhupada himself has given. It
Rabbi
means
please, not to cut you. The test for the reflection. So can you give it again? Can you quote that one again?
633.
33.
Yes.
633. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. So from all that we have heard about pretending, it's like there is two types of pretense. Prabhupada was giving class, and Prabhupada said, as devotees, we are pretending every day, which it was very shocking when I heard that statement. And he mentioned that you have to wake up very early in the morning when there is cold. You go and take baths with cold water, pretending as if there is no cold. You act as if there is no cold. You go and take bath. So that kind of pretense, for me, I would consider it to be a healthy pretend. Even though it's cold, you don't like it, but because of the benefit you start to gain, you try to do it to help yourself. Then Prabhupada also gave a story analysis that touched my heart somehow. So it made me to think so many things about pretense. Prabhupada explained about a fisherman who went fishing, and throughout the whole day, he couldn't catch any fish. So, and there were so much fish in the fish pond of the king, and he decided to harvest the king's fish pond. And after harvesting that fish pond, after harvesting fishes from the fish pond, he heard the king and his entourage approaching. And immediately he dug the ground, buried the fish, sat on top of the fish, and he was chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So,
I'm serious.
so as he was chanting, then the king and his entourage, they arrive and they look at him and say, oh, look at this sadhu in a solitary place chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So all of them, the king came down and gave him some donation. And because the king had given, all the entourage, they also dropped something. So when the Prabhu opened his eye, after the sound has gone, there was no more sound coming. He knew that they have gone far. So he opened his eyes and he saw that there were so many bounties, gifts around him. Then he made up his mind, if I pretend like this just to chant Hare Krishna, make at the chant they go, let me just continue chanting so that things will be happening. At the end of the day, he forgot that fish he was sitting on, the fish got rotten, he forgot, and he became a pure devotee because he started chanting and they became part of him. So when Prabhupada said from pretending, one can come to the perfect stage, Prabhupada uses this story also to back it up. So that becomes clearer. But me, I know as a black man that sometimes pretense can be very, very dangerous. Personally, I know that because sometimes one can do very demonic thing and pretend as everything is okay. So what I'm just trying to say in conclusion is that my realization is that there are two types of pretense. One is healthy pretense and one is demonic pretense. Healthy pretense can help one to improve. Like Krishna said, from pretending one can come to the perfect stage. So that healthy one can help one, then the unhealthy one can destroy one's bhakti. This is my realization from the examples given. Hare Krishna.
Very, very beautiful compliment. I think everybody has learned something from all the contributions, especially from these powerful stories you have told too. Thank you very much. That is it. So we pretend or not pretend?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Let me respond to your question. Should we or should we not pretend? And that is what informs what I wanted to contribute. I said your question now actually gave an impetus to what I wanted to contribute as a summary to the question. That ultimately, consciousness, Prabhupada said, is the missing link. One could be conscious, one could be pretending consciously for the purpose even with the story and become a devotee, like Prabhupada given subject advice that one can pretend. From pretension, one can become real, because the holy name has the potency to purify. But ultimately, it is the consciousness that really matters. someone is pretending, and what Yadunath Prabhu said, maybe there are two types of pretension, but I think there are even more than two. They are so vast that we cannot count them. But ultimately, it is the consciousness in which one does anything that makes it tension, mechanical, about what have you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are always learning. We learn more. We're going to study more about pretension, repression, and mechanical. So that we can see what we can get from there to boost our devotional service. Okay. Having said that, we go on to read the next test. Salih Prabhu, read the next verse.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Text number 9.
Something is wrong with your volume.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, better.
Can you hear me?
Then so everybody should mute. So many people, they open their, so there's so many noise.
Okay.
So they should
Somebody
mute so that,
seems to be snoring.
yeah.
Nobody is snoring. It's a type of sound coming from somewhere. Okay, so carry on. Just 9, I think.
Maitreya Uvacha Idito Bhagavan Evam Kapila Kya Parapumam Vacha Viklavat Yetya Mataram Marti Vatsala. Thus the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila, satisfied by the words of his mother, towards whom he was very affectionate, replied with gravity. Purport. Since the Lord is all perfect, his exhibition of affection for his mother was also complete. After hearing the words of his mother, he most respectfully, with due gravity and good manners, replied.
Read the next one.
Kapila Uvacha Magenane Mataste Susevye no ditena me Ashtitena Param Kashtam Ashirat Abarut Syasi. Personality of Godhead said, my dear mother, the path of self-realization, which I have already instructed to you, is very easy. You can execute this system without difficulty, and by following it, you shall very soon be liberated, even within your present body. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Devotional service is so perfect that simply by following the rules and regulations and executing them under the direction of the spiritual master, one is liberated. As it is said herein, from the clutches of Maya, even in this body, in other yogic processes, or in empiric philosophical speculation, one is never certain whether or not he is at the perfectional stage. But in the discharge of devotional service, if one has unflinching faith in the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master and follows the rules and regulations, he is sure to be liberated, even within this present body. Srila Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu has also confirmed this. Ihayasya aredasye, regardless of where he is situated, anyone whose only aim is to serve the Supreme Lord under the direction of the spiritual master is called Jivan Mukti or Jivan Mukta, or one who is liberated even with his material body. Sometimes doubts arise in the minds of neophytes about whether or not the spiritual master is liberated. And sometimes neophytes are doubting. However, the point of liberation, however, is not to see the bodily symptoms of the spiritual master. One has to see the spiritual symptoms of the spiritual master. Jivan Mukta means that even though one is in the material body, there are still some material necessity since the body is material. Because one is fully situated in the service of the Lord, it should be understood to be liberated. Liberation entails being situated in one's own position. That is the definition in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Mukti Swarupena was Vyasastiti. The Swarupa or actual identity of the living entity is described by Lord Chaitanya. Jivera Swarupa Haya Krishna Nitya Dasa. The real identity of the living entity is that he is eternally a servitor of the Supreme Lord. If someone is 100% engaged in the service of the Lord, he is to be understood as liberated. One must understand whether or not he is liberated by his activities in devotional service, not by other symptoms. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So
one must understand whether or not he is liberated by his.
So what are the points? What are the points you want us to discuss here? Identify what is Jivan Mukta. Identify some points that you know that are very relevant to our progress in devotional service. Let's talk about them a little bit.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, I want to say something.
Yeah.
Then compared to the tale that the discussion that we make concerning the pretension and the repression and the mechanism so forth. Srila Prabhupada said here the last the purport. He said one must understand not by other symptoms. Not by other symptoms. So here, pretending, someone will say either pretending is in devotional service, follow the rules and regulations, either pretending. Compare this thing to the
your voice is getting interrupted.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Your voice is getting, your network is not good anymore. Okay, Prabhu, your network is not good anymore. So before you come back, let us continue with the discussion. Somebody should say something first. Tamal Krishna, your network is not good again. Pray that it will become good very soon. Yes, any point, Rasavan, from the purpose?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, in the last paragraph, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that liberation entails being situated in one's own position. Yeah. So this brings to mind the Swadharma. The Swadharma, the real position of bitter leaf is bitterness. The real position of sugar is sweetness. The Dharma of the fan is to blow breeze. So the real position of a devotee is that you have to be fully absorbed in transcendental loving service of Krishna. That is what will bring him liberation. But sometimes one can also misunderstand this also when they say re-situation in one's own position. But the intricate meaning is our reposition is that we are eternal servant of Krishna, eternal loving servant of Krishna. So we must not give that up. And once we act as eternal servants, then we'll be liberated. This is my take from the last purport.
Yeah.
And it's also there, even in the toward the end, also Prabhupada still say it. The real identity of the living entity is that he is eternally a servitor of the Supreme Lord. So this is our real personality, servant of God. So
Yes.
sometimes devotee, when you call a devotee Bhakta, he becomes angry. I used to feel that we like people to bring us down than to bring us up. In the sense that when you call somebody Bhakta, Bhakta means one who has devotion. But right now, like me, Yadunat, I'm a Bhakta in apprentice. I'm not yet a Bhakta. And even if I am a Bhakta, you are calling me Bhakta. That is my real identity. Our real position is that we are Bhakta, we are Krishna's Bhakta. But sometimes we find among us, when you call somebody Bhakta, he becomes offended that you are calling him Bhakta. That means sometimes we misidentify ourselves. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And that's why there are many traits like that of Kanista Adhikari. And the Kanista mentality causes a lot of problems in our temples. Both in our temples, in our preaching, anywhere we go, the Kanista mentality is a problem. So the purpose of our system is to educate ourselves so that we can elevate ourselves from Kanista to at least Madhyama. And that's exactly why very soon we are going to arrange a course on the platform of Bhaktivedanta Academy for Culture and Education, whereby we talk about evolution from Kanista to Madhyama, the necessity of evolving from Kanista to Madhyama. We are going to bring up a course like that. So, yes, that is true. It's the Kanista mentality. Because eternally we are all Bhaktas, yeah. So, okay, how do you understand this statement that devotional service is so perfect that simply by following the rules and regulations and executing them under the direction of a spiritual master, one is liberated, as is said here from the closes of Maya, even in this body? How do you understand these statements? Simply by following rules and regulations and executing them under the direction of the spiritual master, one is liberated. The devotional service is as simple as that. How do you take this? Is devotional service as simple as that? Prabhupada is saying it's as simple as that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
When I was learning driving, my driving instructor told me the very first day he gave me the steering. He said, my friend, look, if you apply my instruction, you will not have accident. And if you are following my instruction and anybody hit you, that person is at fault. So bringing it to Krishna consciousness now, that is what it means to follow the full step of a spiritual master or of a pure devotee. If you follow nicely according to the order of the spiritual master, the pure devotee, you will be irrespective, whatever happens, you will be covered. If you followed nicely the spiritual master is going to get Krishna. And because you follow the instruction of the spiritual master very nicely, you also get Krishna. After all, Krishna himself said that the pure devotees, they can give Krishna because they have seen Krishna. So I am fully convinced that if a devotee follow nicely the full step or the instructions of the spiritual master, then he can become a pure devotee and get liberation and go back home, back to Godhead.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. But what are some of those obstacles on the path of our developing unflinching faith in the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master and following those rules and regulations? What are some obstacles that you can identify? Why is it that even after knowing this, it is taking us so long a time to really become self-satisfied? What are some obstacles on the part of developing unflinching faith in the instructions of the spiritual master? And what are the symptoms of those who have developed unflinching faith in the instructions of the spiritual master? Some obstacles on the path of developing unflinching faith in the instructions of the spiritual master. That sound that used to come out that made Salika to say something is still coming out. I hope it's not from your end. What are some obstacles on the path of developing unflinching faith in the instructions of the spiritual master?
Please come again.
What are some of the obstacles that are debarring us from developing unflinching faith in the instructions of the spiritual master and following the rules and regulations? What are some obstacles? Because it said that if one has unflinching faith in the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master and follows the rules and regulations, is sure to be liberated, even within this present body. So I'm asking, what are some of the obstacles on the path of developing unflinching faith in the instructions of the spiritual master? I'm following that.
They mentioned one as doubts. Having doubts in the spiritual master or seeing the spiritual master as one of us or a human being. That one can impede on the progress of the sadhaka for a long time. Secondly, still practicing and then the mind dwelling more on a material attraction and also impede us from spiritual progress. And then thirdly, pretending in the manner of a sahajiya practice, pretending to the outside world that we are spiritualists, can also hamper our progress. So for the meantime, let me name these 3 points.
So how can we overcome them?
Overcoming them demands total surrender. And a total surrender comes from constantly hearing and practice.
That okay? Any more? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Please, if there is any other point, otherwise we go to the next verse. Or somebody want to add to what Savan Prabhu has said? Obstacles on the path of developing unflinching faith in the instructions of the spiritual master and following the rules and regulations. Some obstacles on the path of following the rules and regulations. Chitraketu Prabhu. Madhuban Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
What are some obstacles on the path of following, developing unflinching faith in the instructions of the Guru and also in executing the rules and regulations?
Yes. What can be the obstacle or impediment? First of all, maybe bad association can also influence somebody. If it could not change its association, the bad association. Then also not having sufficient knowledge. They have to graduate from being a Kanisa to Madian. You should try to acquire more knowledge so that the faith will be strengthened. Then material necessity is also there because still in the material body. So all these actually cause distractions. So you should be able to rise above all that.
How to overcome them?
How to overcome them? How to overcome them? Those are the reasons that this issue increases knowledge about spiritual life. If you try to graduate from being a Kanisa Adhikari to Madian, that is, get more knowledge. So that knowledge will help to speak in the spiritual master. And then you should not see spiritual master as being that a human being. You should not see him as a human being, and then trying to see his shortcomings. So see him as a perfect master, and then you should try to change his association, be in association of the fact most of the time. So that will help. That will help him.
Okay. Thank you. There are many more obstacles we can identify, and there are many more solutions we can provide. But for now, let us go ahead. The next verse, Yaduna Prabhu. Verse 11. Yaduna Prabhu, are you there?
If you can permit me.
If you are there, you should read the next verse.
I'm sorry, let Prabhupada go ahead because where I am, I cannot read, but I'm hearing.
Okay.
Let me go ahead. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Text 11.
Text 11. Sadadadvasam matam mayam justam yadbrama vadidihi yinamam abhyam yaya mritum richansi atad vida. Translation. My dear mother, those who are actually transcendentalists certainly follow my instructions as I have given them to you. You must rest assured that if you traverse this path of self-realization perfectly, surely you shall be free from fearful material contamination and shall ultimately reach me. Mother, persons who are not conversant with this method of devotional service certainly cannot get out of the cycle of birth and death. Purpose. Material existence is full of anxiety, and therefore it is fearful. One who gets out of this material existence automatically becomes free from all anxieties and fear. One who follows the path of devotional service, educated by Lord Kapila, is very easily liberated. Hare Krishna.
Hey, Hare Krishna. Material anxiety. The material world is full of anxiety. The material world is full of anxiety. Anywhere you turn, once you come below Krishna consciousness, you are plugged into the network of anxiety. Once you start taking shelter of the holy name of the Lord, when you just stop holding on to the holy name of the Lord or the lotus feet of the Lord, fall into the ocean of anxiety. Once you stop holding to the lotus feet of the Lord, once you stop taking shelter of the holy name of the Lord, you fall into the ocean of anxiety. And when you fall into the ocean of anxiety, one anxiety after the other, one anxiety after the other, one anxiety after the other, until you run back to the lotus feet of the Lord again. So the anxieties in the material world, they are impetus. They act as impetus for taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. They push their driving forces for us to take shelter of the material world. So the miseries and the anxieties you see in the material world, don't blame them. Don't be against them. As a devotee, as a wise one who has realized its real identity, you should thank the anxiety in the material world. Thank the anxieties in the material world that they are doing devotional service. The devotees' devotional service or the anxieties in the material world is to push the devotees, those who have gotten some higher knowledge, who have gotten the background, is to push them to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord through His holy name. Hold on to the holy name, that's your security. Hold on to the holy name, that is your protection. Hold on to the holy name, that is your safety. Once you give up that grip of the holy name, you are falling into the ocean of anxiety, and the ocean of anxiety will toast you and give you more and more anxiety, take you deeper until you start running back to wanting to take shelter of the lotus feet. In this way, anxiety, back to anxiety, is doing devotional service. Back to anxiety's devotional service is to push you back to the lotus feet of the Lord. Is to push you back to the shelter of the holy name. So anxiety, back to anxiety, keep down. You see, you're like in the same way, but old age, disease, and death, they are also devotees. Their own is to remind you that devotional service is to remind you that this world is not your home. And they are not lazy devotees. But the anxiety is not a lazy devotee. It's very, very active, very attentive. Once you release your grip of the holy name, immediately he attacks you. So his own is to push you back to the shelter of the holy name. So the same way, old age, disease, and death, they are reminders that this world is not your home. So their devotional service is to push you back. Go and do devotional service. Do devotional service. You are a spiritual soul. Krishna Nitya Das. Your liberation is in acting on your constitutional platform or position. So go back and do devotional service. Go back and do devotional service. So we are so fortunate that this world or this Kunta Loka is doing this devotional service to us. All glories to the material world. Okay? So this is it. The material existence is full of anxiety, and therefore it is fearful. Once you fall into the material world, fear, this is the beginning of fear. Bayad brings it, Isad apetasia, vipariayo, asimility. It is apetasia. As soon as you turn away from the lotus feet of the Lord, Isad apetasia, vipariayo, asimility. Your remembrance is attacked. Once you lose your identity, then you become forgetful of your real identity, and you get deeper and deeper employed in the ocean of anxiety, and you become very fearful. Life becomes very, very fearful. Therefore, yes. Therefore, we should take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord if we want to become free from fear. And fear or anxiety is due to our forgetfulness of our real identity and for getting absorbed in materialistic endeavors. So if we want to become free from that, Then immediately. It's in Bhagavatam, Canto 11, second chapter, verse number 37. Bhagavatam 11 to 37. Bayandwi Tia Beniveta Satyas Isada Pitasia Vipariayo Asmriti Tamayato Buddha Abajetam Bhaktiya Kayesam Guru Devatatma. Fear arises when a living entity misidentifies himself as a material body because of absorption in the external illusory energy of the Lord. When the living entity turns away from the Supreme Lord.
11:2 what?
11:2:37. He also forgets his own constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. This bewildering, fearful condition is affected by the potency of illusion called Maya. Therefore, an intelligent person should engage unflinchingly in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, whom he should accept as his worshipable deity and as his very life and soul. Isada Petasia Vipariayo Asmiriti. As soon as he turns away, he falls into the ocean of forgetfulness. Asmiriti. He loses his remembrance and he becomes absorbed and implicated in the hard struggle for existence. Therefore, an intelligent man should take shelter of the bona fide spiritual master and render divinity service under his guidance, to take him as his life and soul, as his worshipable deity, and serve with all his heart. Then there is guarantee he can come out. So anxiety, but anxiety is there to remind us that to kick us is a kick from behind. Perplexities, material perplexities are kicks from behind, that we should take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. As soon as we lose grip of the lotus feet of the Lord, as soon as we stop taking shelter of the holy name of the Lord, fearfulness, anxiety will arrest us and try to keep us down into the ocean, put our nose inside the water of anxiety. Then we have to struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle. Then once we come out, we have to run to the shelter very fast. Hold on back to the holy name of the Lord. Once you start chanting the holy name of the Lord, anxiety disappears immediately. So this is the whole secret. And the Kapila Muni is saying this with very deep voice, and is just summarizing the whole thing for Devahuti Mataji, and Devahuti Mataji is helping us to try to understand this. Okay. Material existence is full of anxiety, and therefore it is fearful. One who gets out of this material existence automatically becomes free from all anxieties and fear. One who follows the path of devotional service, enunciated by Lord Kapila, is very easily liberated. So very soon, Kapila Muni will start speaking. And Sri Maitreya Uvacha, I think the next verse is 12, Abi. Maitreya Uvacha, iti Badasya Bhagavan, Satin Tamatmanu Gatim, Swamatra Brahma Vadinya, Kapilo Nunato Yayo. Sri Maitreya said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Kapila, after instructing his beloved mother, took permission from her and left his home, his mission having been fulfilled. Purpose. The mission of the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Kapila was to distribute the transcendental knowledge of Sankhya philosophy, which is full of devotional service. Having imparted that knowledge to his mother, and through his mother to the world, Kapila Dev had no more need to stay at home. So he took permission from his mother and left. Apparently, he left home for spiritual realization, although he had nothing to realize spiritually because he himself is the person to be spiritually realized. Therefore, this is an example set by the Supreme Personality of Godhead while acting like an ordinary human being, so that others might learn from him. He could, of course, have stayed with his mother, but he indicated that there was no need to stay with the family. It is best to remain alone as a brahmachari, sannyasi, or vanaprastha and cultivate Krishna consciousness throughout one's whole life. Those who are unable to remain alone are given license to live in household life with wife and children, not for sense gratification, but for cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Oh, well, Haribo, are you one of those who are unable to live? Is that why you are still in household life? After giving birth to all your children, you are still there? When Kapila Muni had just left, after giving his instructions, he had finished his duty. And immediately he left. Or is it that you have not finished your duty? I think that's where you will take shelter from. You have not finished your duty. That's why you are still there. That your children are still small. And that's why you are still there. What are those whose children are already big? Why are they still there? This is wonderful. Because Kapila Muni is showing us the example that to remain as a brahmachari, vanaprastha, or sannyasi is the best way. It's the best way to concentrate in devotional service. Therefore, even though it could still stay, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it cannot be contaminated by anything. It could still stay with the mother in the palace, in those beautiful gardens, be chanting Hare Krishna in those beautiful gardens. Yeah. And he's the Supreme, he cannot be contaminated. But he still left, leaving his mother alone, so that he can also start to perform a devotional service and prepare a journey back home, back to God. So why is it that Kapila Muni didn't stay in the house to practice devotional service? Why did he leave? And it's because it's the Supreme Personality of God that all his activities are to show us example. So if he has shown us that kind of example, why are we not taking it? Are we trying to take what will favor us and leave the rest? Why is it that we are still at home? And why are we not left home? Or are we going to say our children are not grown yet and we want them to grow first? Are we the ones actually taking care of our children?
We are in Kali Yuga. It's a age.
So we need response.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, according to Srila Prabhupada, he said that if you are living a household life of Krishna consciousness, your children and wife and family, they are devotees, you don't need to leave house because you're already in the temple. So where are you living to? Prabhupada said so. They also remember that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada also mentioned that if he's going to have sex and he's going to get Krishna conscious children, then he will have sex and give birth to 100 children. So if a person is going to have 100 children, you know how many years? That means a whole lifetime producing. So which means that if a one is having an ideal household life, not Grihamedi, but Grihasta, he can remain at home and then practice his Krishna consciousness. Kadamuni left to establish Kadamuni had to leave home so that we establish the Vanaprastha ashram. These are Vedic system. This is not devotional service. The Varna and ashram is not devotional service. It's Vedic social and spiritual division of human society. But devotional service is far above Varna and ashram. That is why Mahaprabhu himself said, I'm not a Brahmana, I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm not a Vaishya, I'm not a Shudra, I'm just but a servant. So if a devotee attains that servitorship or the mood of bhakti, then what's the need living home? But if a person is living a family life just to gratify his senses, Then when he reach 50 years, he should retire and then concentrate for liberation and going back home, back to God. But for devotee, according to Prabhupada, Prabhupada said there is no need. But Prabhuji, I'm sorry to say, but the kind of devotional service that many of us are practicing, there is need, because 80% of our householders who are living in their various houses, they don't offer the prasad, the boga that they are eating. Many devotees don't have deities in their house. Even in my own Benin, I used to tell them. So if we want to live like that, then definitely we should get to a point, give up every other thing and pursue Krishna consciousness fully. Otherwise, so much play is going on. Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, yes. Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 explains the cycle of sacrifice. You get from the demigod, you give back to the demigod. You know, that it is mentioned, Krishna himself mentioned that anybody who eats without offering is eating sin. So if I'm a devotee, I'm a brahmana, and I have children, we claim to be devotees, and we are eating boga, then that is not proper. So for those kind of people, we should retire at a point and then take to Pastor ashram. But for a person who is practicing nicely, who is living his home as a temple, Prabhupada said, wherever a devotee is a temple, is Vrindavan. Is like Prabhupada said in Nectar of Devotion, he said, before we leave this body, we must visit Vrindavan, we must visit Mathura, we must visit so and so place. But when Prabhupada was making comment, he said, anywhere a devotee is living is Vrindavan. So what makes a place a Vrindavan is the activities. So if a devotee is already living a Vrindavan activity in his own house, so what will he go and do in the forest? This is my understanding.
Okay, now that is Kapila Muni. That is Kadama Muni. Now Kapila himself here, apparently he left home for spiritual realization, although he had nothing to realize spiritually because he himself is the person to be spiritually realized. Therefore, this is an example. It's not proper writing, Therefore, this is an example by the Supreme Personality of Godhead while acting like an ordinary human being, so that others, you and me, might learn from him. He could, of course, have stayed with his mother, but not that he even married, though. He could have, of course, stayed with his mother, but he indicated that there was no need to stay with his family. It is best to remain alone as a brahmachari, sannyasi, or vanaprastha and cultivate Krishna consciousness throughout one's whole life. Throughout one's whole life. There are those who are unable to remain alone are given license to live in household life with wife and children, not for self gratification, but for cultivation. So what you have said now is a second concession, that those who are unable to leave home, they are the ones who take shelter of that. Those who are unable to leave home. It's a concession for those who are unable to remain alone. They are given the license to live in household life with wife and children, if not for self gratification, but for cultivation of Krishna consciousness. But the first class is that they should leave home, following the example of Sri Kapila Muni. And they have not left home, and they are still there. What are they still doing there? After giving birth to children, what are they still doing at home? Or they want to say because their children are not grown yet, therefore they should stay and give them Krishna consciousness. What if you leave your body? If Krishna decides to take you away from here, will your children not do Krishna consciousness? So what will we do? Or if we just live like that, it's like we are abandoning our responsibility also. Now we are setting bad example to society that we just beget children and just leave them and go. So why? What is our consideration? Where are we? Sarika Prabhu. Sarika Prabhu, you have something to say, definitely.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
When it comes to the subject matter of living home or not living home.
Volume. Don't be selfish with your volume.
the subject matter of living home or not living home. First thing is that this is Kali Yuga, not Satya Yuga, not Dwapara Yuga. So the age in which Lord Kapila Muni was manifesting is different. The same Lord Kapila Dev, when he came in Kali Yuga, he gave a different instruction for Kali Yuga. Arainam, Arainam, Arainam,
Now, why is your volume becoming low like this when we want to discuss a sensitive subject matter?
Okay, forgive me. I'll try to increase my voice. Can you hear me now?
Better.
So what I'm saying is that when it comes to the subject matter of living home or not living home, looking at the past times that we're reading, the first consideration must be that we are in Kali Yuga, not in Satya Yuga or Treta Yuga, when Lord Kapila Dev appeared. So it's a different age. And the same Lord Kapila, who had appeared in Kali Yuga, has given an instruction for Kali Yuga's means of liberation. Arainam, Arainam, Arainam Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nasti. That is the goal. That is the religion for this age. That is the means of attainment of goal. Every other thing is secondary to it. But then, in practical application of that, to help us focus on chanting the holy name, which is the religion for the age, we have to look for what is best for individuals. It can never be a general rule. What will work for Salika may not work for Chaitanya Prema Prabhu or work for Yaduna. It is individual because we are all in different, it is different from the Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, where general mood of the citizens in the age are aligning. You find the majority of people who are inclined to spirituality and taking the attainment of Godhead as ultimate goal of life. Kali Yuga is different, so it can be, it will only be individual thing. But in the same individual consideration, individual have to check what is most favorable for him. Like we discussed a few minutes ago, the matter of repression, retention, hypocritical, mechanical, and all of that has to be avoided by all means. Because if one wants to say, because it is better to leave the home and then just leave the home without being in the consciousness of leaving the home, he will lose the home, he will lose the goal, he will lose himself. So one has to look at what is the goal and what is most applicable for me. To the degree one is passionate or one is ready to go back home, back to Godhead, he should choose what is most best applicable for him in his circumstances. That would be my advice. Personally, for me, I know what the goal is. I'm seeing the circumstances around me, and I'm making the best use of the bad bargain. That is my application.
Why don't you go to Vrindavan, change your to saffron and just finish the rest of your life as
that would be just, that is pretension. That is pretending, and it is condemned because my circumstances not right present. In fact, my guru did not even instruct me that way. My Guru Maharaj told me, instruction he gave me, stay in your country of birth and help me in this body to serve me. If it was about leaving the environment, I should have left over 30 years ago. But he forbade me. He said, this is my desire, that my disciple does this. So what my Guru Maharaj wants me to do is what I'm doing. That does not mean that if the opportunity arises, I cannot visit the holy dam. And if my circumstances change tomorrow, and there is an opportunity for me to stay.
Prabhu, thank you for your humility. Thank you for your humility and your willingness to be so exemplary. Thank you. The thing is that even it is tantamount to irresponsibility when your children are young and you leave them, say you are going to practice Vanaprastha. Where are you living to? To practice Vanaprastha somewhere when your children are there, you are running away from responsibility.
Even if Prabhu, even if the children are old, if you have a service, because the two things that's what I'm trying to, the point I'm trying to raise. Because what is most important in Kali Yuga is the service to your guru and your chanting of the holy name. When you chant and serve, whatever is necessary, Guru Krishna will arrange for your situation. Yeah. That is most primary. I remembered when I came to the environment where I'm serving now, several years back, I called my Guru Maharaj and told him, I said, Gurudev, I can't understand why you brought me to this place, because this place are completely opposite each other. He told me in the nearest future, you will come to understand. And then 25 years, 30 years after, I'm coming to realize why he sent me here. So for me, maybe my realization is that, and which is what the purport, the life and soul of a devotee is the following the instructions of the spiritual master, is the life and soul of the dedicatedly, consciously chanting the holy name of the Lord. So that is what I see as priority. And if my Guru Maharaj says that to me, Salika Das, leave for India and go and stay there, I will leave right the next moment.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ramakrishna, don't be afraid. We are not going to advise you to leave your children. Say that, but I'm still wondering, Kapila Dev, with all the opulences, you know, Kadamba Muni, you know, he created, it's not like poor soldiers like now. We don't even have missing power to create one house for ourselves. Kadamba Muni was able to create mansions, area mansions. And it was so beautiful. In fact, very soon we hear the description of the garden, like the crown jewel of all celestial gardens. That is what the garden they had. The Kapila Muni has to leave that place to live home. Is that not extreme? Anyway, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we are leaving your mother alone to perform, so that you can also perform our devotional service. So ultimately, like it is, the whole thing is individual. Everybody just had to face his own music. And Kapila Muni is showing this example so seriously like this. And anyway, we are not Kapila Muni. So
I want to say something, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. I want to say that if we want to use the analysis of the scripture, what Kapila Muni did, I have problem with it, because it is explained that one who does not have son should not leave home. You must have a son, a male child, who is at least 25 years old and is capable to take care of the family. But Kapil Muni, he didn't follow that system.
Anyway, you don't need to have problem with him, because you don't need to have problem with him, because you yourself, you said that this is Manashram, this is not pure devotional service. So he is showing the way of pure devotional service now.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. The way I look at it depends on the circumstances. For instance, if you have to leave home.
Madhuban, before you continue, you should know that your children are grown. So your being remaining there is questionable. Carry on.
Okay. The condition that Lord Kapila left home, the condition that you must have a grown-up son, it depends. If you don't have children or responsibility to take care of, then there's no, the question of having a grown-up son doesn't apply. Then the idea of living home, especially in this age of Kali Yuga, is that one has to graduate from the level of Grihastha. That is, at a point in time when your children are grown up, you have to free yourself from family responsibilities. For instance, some people after retirement, you see them having another wife, having children. So once you have all these things, they are material distractions. You know, it doesn't help somebody to develop the spiritual life. So,
but Prabhu, in your old age, you need somebody to take care of you, and you need to associate with somebody.
no, in
So
the old days,
if you marry after 60 years, is it not still okay?
It's not okay, because you know material needs, material demands, material struggle. It will interfere with your spiritual progress. You know, one has to graduate from a grade, and after graduation, then you have an opportunity to become a science, that is going traveling all over the places and preaching the gospel. So, but you see some people, even after retirement, they still engage themselves in all these things. So it's purely materialistic life, and it's not encouraged. It doesn't show seriousness. Then, you know, some people, even they decide that they are not going to go into the family life. Some people on their own, either a man or woman, or male or female, some people just decide that, look, I'm not going to a family life. And I think a different example is for Kumara. They just see it as a distraction. So they renounce it outright. So it is important. And the consciousness is what matters now. The consciousness, you know, to be alone. You know, after some time, your children have to leave home. Yeah, if your wife is also Christian conscious, then two of you can carry. But the importance of living home now is that you have to renounce this family responsibility. It's not after you are retired. Somebody
why not engage? Why do you renounce your family responsibility and go and preach to other people to come and renounce? Why don't you stay at home and convert your temple or your house into a temple and preach on, engage them in the bonus service until you leave your body? Anyway, Hare Krishna. So, any last comment on this so that some last comment on this? Anyone has some comment on this? So that
I think in the end, from all of the conversation and contributions, it boils down to the essence that one must know the goal. Bhakti Mama Bijan and T, only by devotional service. That is the conclusion of Lord Kapila Dev to his mother. Only Bhakti will take you back to Krishna. And whatever is favorable to that Bhakti should be accepted. Whatever is unfavorable to that Bhakti should be rejected. My mind is not favorable if I find uncomfort. Because from what we're saying now, Madhuvan Prabhu especially, if somebody has a bad marriage or wife departs suddenly, and he said because continuing material married life is Maya, and he artificially renounce, that is repression, which is considered to be pretending. One should look at internally, what is my position, where I'm high, and what is favorable, what will facilitate my easy attainment of the goal, Bhakti. And that's why I suggested, I made a comment before, it is individual.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Madhuban also make a last comment also. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes, very briefly.
Okay. Well, what I'm saying, it's not a question of bad marriage or something. At a point, you see, the living home means living the responsibility of a family life. You know, family. At a point in time, there's a stage, even your children or anybody should be asking you, some things. If they cannot give you this natural life, it's not an isolated concept, you know, and that's the problem, because continue living material life like that, it will be a big distraction, you know, engaging in devotional service, it will affect your service. So, and you have, it's a function of age. Getting to, for instance, ordinarily in a civil service, when you get to the age of 60, you are retired. You know, so whatever they give you is just to maintain your health, your drugs, not that time. You are expected to be paying school fees or getting an engaged. So that's, I don't know, in a nutshell, I don't know if I'm understood. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Rasabanji, you want to make a last comment on this, just so that we can round up? We have overstayed.
As a lecturer,
Yeah, I think a lot has been said, and I'm attuned with all that has been said. So it's okay for me.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Very reminiscent. Your last comment on this?
I agree with Prabhu Salika. We have to do what we are comfortable with, that will not affect our devotional service.
Okay.
At every stage in our devotional life, we have people who depend on us. So we also have to check the people we are breaking their hearts, the people we are going to be discouraging by some of the actions we are going to be taking. So anything that we are going to be doing that will be good for that will enhance our devotional service. But one thing I know for sure, there are two types of transcendentalists. We have the Bhajana Anandis and the Ghosti Anandis. The Bhajana Anandis, they go to the forest to chant, but the Ghosti Anandis, they preach. Krishna consciousness.
Madhubanji, you can mute, please.
ISKCON is a preaching religion. So if I have to leave the city and go to the forest to meditate, that makes me a Bhajana Anandi. But the Ghosti Anandi, they sacrifice their own liberation, they sacrifice their own going back to Godhead to help others to attain back to Godhead. So this is my opinion. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jyoti Swarup Prabhu, your last thought on this topic so that we can close for today.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it's very sensitive question which came to me. I am the smallest in the group, I think. All are senior to me. And, Prabhuji, I can say all is Maya. Practically speaking, we are all stuck in Maya. That's why we are here, not leaving our family and house. But as our Prabhuji, Salika Prabhu and Yadunath Prabhu said, that we, wherever we are, if we are chanting the holy name of the Lord, is almost like Vaikuntha. Because wherever we are chanting, that's where the Lord will come. So which situation we are in, which people we are with, maybe our wife, children, our mother, father, if all of them, they are chanting and doing the service in the house, preparing prasad, serving Vaishnavas, serving the deities. So I think we are almost at Vaikuntha. But we should just learn how to do it with love. We have to learn that. So when we are together in the family, that is what we can try and we can learn together.
Good.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Tama Krishna Prabhu. Your last comment on this.
Yes. Our duty is to be in Krishna consciousness. That is our focus. So in all what we are saying, we should be sincere upon whatever we are saying, and to focus on one thing, to listen to our Guru, and then to focus on what our prescribed duty. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. Yes, you are all sincere devotees of the Lord, and your contributions are all very open-minded, and sincere contributions to this topic. We are not Lord Kapila. We are not Kapila. Kapila is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Prabhuji, I will like to hear from you your view on this topic. What we must do? Either we should leave house and go, or we should stay here and preach.
I'm coming now.
Yes.
That's where I'm coming. I want to give my comment.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yes. So we are not Kapila, and neither are we Devahuti. We are just aspiring to become devotees of the Lord. And for me, I would say nobody should leave his responsibility, but rather we should practice Yukta Vairagya, which is also given to us by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Kapila himself. He said our focus should be Yukta Vairagya. That means originally we don't have anything, and we don't have anything to renounce. You cannot renounce what you don't have. All what we have to renounce is the false mentality of lording over. Then immediately we see that everything belongs to Krishna, including ourselves, our wife, our children. We all belong to Krishna. So if we learn the art and science of engaging whatever is with us in the service of the Lord, we are in the spiritual world. It's not a matter of changing of location, changing of dress. It's changing of consciousness. And that is what you are. And once you are there, you don't even need to separately think of your own liberation. Yeah, yes. As preachers, we think of everybody, what is good for everybody, how everybody can get connected to Krishna consciousness and be gradually elevated. So this is my own take. My take is the same as the take of all the devotees, that we should try to focus on practicing Krishna consciousness, chanting and improving our japa and doing devotional service individually. And let that practical example overflow to those who are dependent on us, then they can all take to Krishna consciousness. And that is all. We are there. We are no longer going to forests in this age. We have temples, and we can convert our house into temple. So the question of entering forests is almost completely out of it. And what we need to do is to renounce our false mentality of lording it over and put Krishna in the center. Put Krishna in the center. And next time when we come, there's a verse from the 10th canto of Bhagavatam I will bring to show that that entanglement is not for us. More those who are trying to become devotees of the Lord, they are covered. They have universal insurance. As long as you are trying to become, you don't need to change anything. Everything is actually for Krishna, and you are engaging everything in the service of Krishna. And that is where we are. So thank you very much. On this note, we bring the class to a close, and see you next weekend. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your contributions once again.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Jai.
Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Jai.
Grace Bhaktivedanta Chaitanya Prema Prabhu.
All of
Jai.
You are all doing so well. You are powerful devotees. Kali Yuga will never see you.
We are learning from you, Prabhuji.
Kali Yuga will never see us. We continue to remain devotees somehow. And
Hare Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, I want you to be continuous telling the programs for us.
Okay.
They're recording. Yes.
I'm not, Chaitanya Prema Prabhu will arrange that.
Okay.
Okay, the recordings are not, Salika, you are not doing that? Ji Salika Prabhu? You are not sending our recordings on YouTube?
Chaitanya Prema Prabhu, don't open the canker worm here.
Okay. Hare
Let's
Krishna.
just leave it as it is.
So it's not it's not going on YouTube. Me, I don't know anything about the YouTube aspect too. So you're supposed to. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you. See you later. See you later. Hare Krishna.